Hang out and still like to see each other well. All right, good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all. Please hands up if you can hear me. Hands up if you can hear me. Hands up if you can hear me. Look at that, doesn't it work very well? Give yourself a round of applause. Okay, there's going to be some very important things that you as the audience have to do today. First of all, you have to smile. Can you smile? Okay, because when you're up here, it's like really scary. So Amy will tell you, look, Amy's going to be doing this later, and it's super scary. So some smiling is good. The other thing is giving some love, right? And in this case, we're going to clap. So can you do one clap for me? Oh, this is such a good audience. Can you do two claps? Okay, can you do three? You don't even have to try that time. Now, can you put all that together in like a little thing that sounds like a round of applause? Right, really good. Now, be American about it. Be American. Let's put it more American. So what you give here, you get at least 50% back. So just think about that for Amy. You've got to give her all that energy so she can give it back to you. Okay. Who's been to a Canopy demo night before? Thank you very much for telling. Who has not been to a Canopy demo night before? So you can all raise your hands. This is super easy, okay? So the big difference between a pitch night and a demo night, firstly, is you have the two of us hanging out in front. Second thing is, we want you to ask questions. We want you to give feedback, and Amy, petrified as she is for this stuff, will want you to do that. And Dan knows how this works, okay, because he's done a few of these before. And the whole idea is that they're going to learn by your questions. The other cool thing is that everybody who's sat around you is going to learn by those questions happening as well. And the whole point of this event is that everybody gets a little bit wiser and a little bit stronger. Okay, so this is Becky. Becky, who are you?
Yeah, hi. So I'm an entrepreneur in residence here at Set Squared, and I also had a company here at Set Squared. And when I was here, I really felt like there was this ecosystem vibe. Like that was my safety net as a business, was the fact that there was this ecosystem around. And then I think various things happened. COVID happened, everyone went remote and everything else. And gradually, I think we're really realizing, some maybe never stopped doing this, but I think there's a real optimism around ecosystem at the moment. And I'm really excited to kind of come together with Stuart tonight, because he came in, we were working together, we were doing a session, and he was like, yeah, we're going to do this demo night. Does anyone want to get involved? And I was like, I do. Like, you're already doing things to help create ecosystem, bring people together. Yeah, why wouldn't I want to come and get involved and get to know all of you better, but hopefully also leave some of my networks and bring people together. And because I think as founders, this is something that we really need. And as other people in the ecosystem, it's so important to be able to hear each other's stories, to be here to support each other, and to all kind of grow and, all ships rise together, right? So, yeah. And so I'm here to learn as much as you're here to learn as well. I've said this is the first event here, so it's also about kind of figuring out how it works here. And Stuart said to me when we were doing some of the planning, these events are very, very different in different places, and part of it is about doing what's needed, what's right for this ecosystem and for us as a community of people. So I think that's what tonight's kind of about as well, right? It's figuring that out.
So this will be the Canopy, the 22nd demo night we've run this year.
Wow.
Okay. It's a little bit scary because we used to do 12 a year, so 22 is been quite thing. And we're already scheduled to do 30 next year as we're all working out. So some are in Lisbon, some are in London, some are in Cornwall, a couple of remote. Did I miss anywhere? Everything last week was in Lisbon during Web Summit Week. So we have two signature events a year. London 10 week and Web Summit Week. And we run these fringe events. They go pretty well. And it's been very interesting to see now we've crossed people over. So we've got people from London to Lisbon, people from Lisbon to London. And that's part of what we do as well, which is the bridge. Okay, that's enough about that. We're going to do a fireside chat that Becky's going to host with Caroline and Josh. Then we're going to go into 3 demos, which is Amy and it's Dan. and it's Fifi, who's nearly here, not giving me any stress at all. And then we're just going to eat the pizza and drink the beer, and then stay until we want to go. Does that sound about right? Okay, so you remember that whole clapping thing? Right, Caroline, Josh, thank you. You're currently being live streamed through that camera over there. And if it's really good, then it's totally something I did.
Okay,
so much.
thank you. Thanks everyone. Just feel like we've got a nice warm, welcoming audience here. So in this fireside chat, we're here to share Josh's story. And I'll let Josh and Caroline introduce themselves in a moment. But we're also going to talk about kind of the sport and the ecosystem, and kind of as we talk through Josh's story, we're also going to be looking at some of those things that that we can do all together and as different organisations to help with that. So, first of all, Josh, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi everyone, I'm Josh. I'm the founder and CEO of Radio Devices. We do software for medical device design, using data to make devices such as prosthetics and orthotics fit better. We originally spun out from the University of Southampton, and then we joined Surveyr Bristol in 2020, and we're kind of part of that like pandemic cohort of just everyone staring at each other on Zoom.
Are you hungry for this?
Yeah, and I think we had that. I remember those first few events when everyone came together, like, oh my gosh, it's all in person.
Yeah.
Looking forward to talking about that community and the importance of it, and it's you don't want to just be doing like starting journey on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And Caroline, you're kind of a pivotal figure in this.
I'm Sparkly's person quick.
Yeah. I tried. I was gonna win.
I'm so Stu. You didn't get the memo.
Yeah. We didn't give Stu the memo, but he says he has a.
I know.
Yeah. Said he's got a sparkling enough personality.
Oh.
So that was his joke. Yeah.
So my name's Caroline Thompson. I'm still saying new because I've been here for a few months now. I started in July. I'm the new centre manager here for Surveyr in Bristol. So yeah.
So, gosh, I always like to ask. This is the first question I ask all of the entrepreneurs that I work with actually, and when we're doing our one-to-ones. Like, so tell me the origin story. Like, what was it that sparked the beginnings of this?
Yeah, so I kind of found that journey was kind of a series of quite happy accidents and never really with any plan. So I was all kind of started. I did in my second year of my mechanical engineering degree, did this summer internship looking at prosthetics and using engineering to try and think about prosthetics. And then at the end of my degree, someone went, "Oh, do you want to maybe consider doing a PhD around that?" And I was like the first year of the 9 grand cohort, so I was like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds good. I'll skip my masters and do that instead." But I was like, "Oh, that sounds like a really cool project." And then at the end of the PhD project, I had something where we were like, "Oh, wow, it could actually really be useful. This could help, do something, not just be a kind of nice academic project." And I didn't I'd never throughout my whole PhD had any concept of running a startup, didn't really know what that looked like, didn't even, it wasn't something that was ever in my awareness. But then kind of a mix of a couple of things at the time that, the Future Worlds Group on at the University of Southampton was really, they were kind of helping to encourage people to get involved and say, you could do something with your research, and that kind of then led to Step Squared, and then somebody else kind of, all of these people were in front of me were like, "Oh, I was in the same position that you were. I was doing my PhD, I was doing my research, I had no idea about this, but then was able to take that here." And it was kind of, you kind of looked around and you said well, if I believe in this technology, but if I don't do it, then no one's going to do it. So I'll just kind of do it. And so it was just, I've always kind of got into this stuff with what I'm doing sense where it was about just saying, absorbing knowledge, trying to learn, trying to develop, trying to grow. And so, and then kind of just found that actually it's just something I really enjoy doing. And I can't imagine, I was like, oh, how was I ever not just running this thing? It's very much a kind of a fortunate thing in a way.
It is. Yeah, I know. I've got so much more I want to ask you. But you said something which I also say a lot when I tell my story. When I was doing my PhD, doing my undergrad, my PhD, I had no idea about this business world, and I actually, to the point where I was feeling quite down about things because I was like, well, I'm doing this research, but it's not exactly where I want to be, and I don't like being in this academic space. And Caroline, like, we're obviously connected to universities, and more is going on now in terms of trying to stimulate more entrepreneurial thinking and getting more of that knowledge. What do you think? I mean, what are we currently doing, or what do you think we could be doing more to try to get more of this commercialization into the university?
Okay, so I think the beauty of Squared is, yes, we are linked to the University of Bristol, but we're actually open for applications from everywhere. What makes Squared different is something Andrew had to say, but it actually links the question to us. So, is that it's not a pile and high accelerator that dips people through in learning interventions, whether they need it or not. So the thing when I've run other accelerators in the city, where I looked across the sets and thought, that's just so cool, how can you do that? It's bespoke to each of the so using EIRs, incubation tools, or advice and rest, that makes such a difference. The things that we can be doing more of, particularly the university hat on, is there's some really clever people doing some great research. This is where Squared can come in, and whether it's through training or whether it's individual incubation, can support somebody with their entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
Just listen to what Josh just said, it's how do you turn this into a thing that somebody wants to buy and commercialise it in really quickly. And that's where the Squared piece can come in and help support, whether it's a spin out or whether it's something that's really struggling with tech or tech spin out.
I'm just checking that everybody can hear at the back because I can't really tell, and there is a bit of I can hear this noise here, so I'm just checking you can all hear at the back. Yeah.
A little bit louder would be good, but
Okay, we'll raise it a little bit. Josh, something I wanted to go back to is, as you talked about this being your research, but of course it's quite a mission-driven endeavour that you're doing. You can really help people with the work. Was that mission something that was also there in the beginning?
Yeah, I think so. Something that I talk about is like anyone that's kind of doing, particularly I think any research that's in the kind of like the kind of biomedical space. You know, if you look at any funding application for those, it will say that you're going to do this. These many people are, you want to help these many people. You want to make this thing better. I think it's actually like imperative. I don't think it's like should be an optional thing. But if you are saying that in a grant funding application for the original research, you've got to then think about how do you get that into the real world. Like, my work wasn't doing like fundamental physics, like where you're like, well, we might work out something in 50 years. Like, no, if you're doing, research in this space and you're trying to directly help people, you then need to have a plan on commercialization. And so I think that was kind of always that, even if I didn't quite realize it at the start, I think that to me was always like, if this isn't going to be used anywhere, then kind of what's the point? Like, why are we bothering? And so, which is maybe explains why I'm definitely not going to be an academic at any point if I just realise that was the kind of mindset around it. But I do think it is important when you're in that kind of applied research space. You need to think about how that research is going to be applied.
Yeah, absolutely. So I also want to talk about then, because obviously not everyone here is necessarily going to be going on that spin out journey or coming out of the university. But I just want to kind of just touch on this bit, which is you were a PhD student when you did this research, but then you have to kind of go through this process of spinning out. Yeah. So how did that work? And you don't have any co-founders, so did you have how did all of that happen? Because I think there's some people who would be like, we'd love to be able to spin our companies out.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot to potentially touch on there. So I was really fortunate that kind of at the end of my PhD, got funding from the Royal Academy of Engineering's Enterprise Fellowship, which is like a year-long scheme where they basically, really give you a lot of intense help and kind of training and support to, the idea is that they kind of see you and help you through that spin-out process, and I think that was really important. So I didn't have co-founders directly, but had kind of like a founding team. But I think the person that wants to be a founder has, I think there's often like a particular kind of individual that is, and they've got to have a certain vision. But there was lots of other people that believed in it. So you know, my two PhD supervisors, both still full-time academics in the university, but are always there to help out. They don't need that kind of co-founder, you know, title to do it. And I think they're both the best examples of what this can look like in terms of realizing that actually, and you know, I'm not going to complain about university put-out process, but the one thing that I would say is like, it's really important to realize like how much work is needed after. And there is this kind of like mindset everywhere, and however that kind of manifests itself, saying, no, the thing that we have in the university is the valuable thing. It's like, you know, it's the people. And so that could look like, you know, professors trying to get massive equity stakes. Yeah. But like, no, the business is where it really starts. And I think, so I've been so fortunate in this, and having those like a co-founding team. You know, the first 2 employees that we had in the company were from my PhD office, because PhD students are really smart and not used to being paid very much. So they're like perfect first employees in a startup when you don't have any money. They're like they're set up for it. And like, but they also know you and they trust you, and they've got that Hydra mission as well. And so, although I kind of, you know, stand up there as a founder and, you know, I want to do with the investors and things like this stuff, it's having, I don't see myself as that kind of like classic, you know, solo founder working on their own and not speaking to anyone for 3 months and it's all on them. Like there was always that, you know, whilst being a solo founder, having that support network. Yeah. And, you know, even if it's kind of, you know, I'm the face of it, there's that band that kind of makes up so much of what the company is today.
Why doesn't that? Caroline, this sort of got me thinking. We always talk about like what kind of makes a founder that we feel is a good founder at Squared, and I'm thinking like, well, obviously we weren't both here when you first joined, but I was thinking about what that interview would have been like, and how, you know, how you talk about things would be pretty good. Can you say a little bit more about what you think a good founder looks like?
It comes down to one thing for me for my interview for Squared: are they coachable? Yeah, because coachable doesn't mean someone who's just going to roll over and disagree. I like someone who's going to fight about them, who's not going to just take yes for an answer, but is ultimately here to learn and absorb everything around them. And you know this, Josh, more than anyone else. So you ask 10 people for an opinion on your business, you'll have 10 different answers. It's got to come down to the founder to make the decision of what they're going to do next. So that coachable, someone who's got a bit of fire in their belly, who wants to get lots of support, but wants to drive their company forward ultimately, and will be really focused on 3 things. Is what they're doing desirable? Is it feasible? Is it viable? That's the core things alongside being coachable. And that's what we help with the EIRs and product fit and all that good stuff, so that we can support that founder. We can't do it for them, but we can help put rocket fuel in the tank for sure.
I always think it's interesting because the earlier stage founders that I've worked with, and maybe some of the student founders and those who are looking to spin out, they quite often will come and say like, but I'm hearing so much, and like this person said this, and this person said this, and then go, no, ultimately, like your job as an entrepreneur is like that's it to a T really, is to go, there's all of this outside information. What decision am I going to make? You don't ignore the information. You really use it. It's data points. But what decision am I going to make to move forward?
Being a founder and going down an entrepreneurial journey is the toughest career decision. It's the toughest. I'm not brave enough to do it, but I'm really good at kicking down doors for other people to do it. And as a founder, even tonight, you'll come to a night like tonight. Amy's probably thinking, I need to everything is awesome. Well, she's got a million things. Another founder will have a million things going on in their minds. So the community that goes alongside it, and creating a whole cohort of founders who are not afraid to ask for support, is really good, because it's such a tough way to create a career.
So, talking about big decisions that you had to make, what would you say are some of the big decisions you had to make over the last few years?
That's a really good question.
Or difficult decisions, like even big, but they,
So I kind of always use, it's difficult to kind of say big or difficult, but like it's more, so the framework that I always use, and it kind of comes back to that mission whenever I'm kind of looking at anything, kind of evaluating where I am. And, you know, on the kind of like being a founder is difficult. It's like, yes, but I think you can kind of flip it a bit. I think you can, like, I always reference back to like, this is where we started and this is where I am now. And it's like, for me, it's really important to, like, as you go along that founder journey, being like, you don't know, like, something could fall over, tomorrow. Like, we do a lot of work with the US at the moment. Government shutdown happens, and it causes all sorts of carnage. Like, you just, like, there are things outside your control. And so I think it is about using those reference points and being like, actually, everything that I'm learning along. And it's what I always kind of like, people that are looking at starting up, and it's like, if you've got this mate, just go for it. If it doesn't go right, like, that's fine. Just like learn from it. Like, it's not a failure. But I think, if I was to kind of think about the most difficult kind of decisions, it's often about that kind of strategic piece around. It's not necessarily investment in terms of rate. Like, we all know raising investment is difficult. Like, that's not a very interesting thing to say. But actually, I think the challenges come in terms of saying, like, how much investment should you raise and why are you raising that investment, or what kind of company do you need to build? I think we're probably like a bit better at that now. I think like a few years ago it was just like everyone raised because there's kind of free money around and it was just ridiculous. Whereas I think now it's like there is a little bit of aggression, but actually it's then you then kind of say, well, like, do I need to raise this money? And actually, if I don't raise this money, then I can retain the equity and maybe I build that own pub. And I think we've never raised an enormous amount, and actually that has been a bit difficult sometimes. You'd have people being directly like, well, you're not going to make a successful company because of that. And it's like, okay, well, you should think about that. But it's those kind of decisions where I think there's the challenge where you're making a decision which is actually doesn't just set the future path of the company, it also kind of sets the values of the company and what kind of value company you want to build, and you want that to be something that you own.
Do you think some of those moments then are ways, if they're almost like mirrors for you to sit and say, no, this is what's important to us, and so it also helps you build more clarity as you go through some of these decisions?
Yeah, and I think you have that kind of mirror and you think about, okay, well, how will this affect things? And then it comes also down to like the why, like the why are you doing this, what's it for? It comes back to that, we're doing this because we believe in this technology, we want to make it the gold standard everywhere, and it's like making sure that you don't kind of just raise loads of money and then crash out. But because like if you take VC money, and particularly very early, like some people take VC money on their first rounds, like it really actually narrows your options. I think people like in some, it obviously opens up a lot of things, but in other ways it really kind of says, well, you need to build a company like this according to this growth path, otherwise that's kind of it. Like that is everything in there. And so I think thinking about really strategically, like, what do I want this thing to be, and is this something that does it align with what I want to do, and kind of ignoring some of that external advice that you might get, well, not ignoring, I guess aggregating and filtering might be a better way of describing it, and just saying, okay, no, this is what I want to do. And I would say there would definitely be some people in Bristol that have really helped on like me making those and say like, no, actually this is an example of how you can do this, and this is the kind of model of company you might want to follow.
Because I don't think our role is ever to kind of go, this is how you should do something. It's more about giving you tools, giving you frameworks, or giving you just that person to talk through things and maybe options. So could you talk a little bit more about where things are now? You mentioned you work a lot with the US. So what does the business look like at the moment?
Yeah, so we are currently a team of 10 at the moment. So I guess like something really big, a big kind of, you need like running a startup, but you need to kind of be in the right positions as well. So just over 2 years ago, when we were still kind of running our original clinical trial, the US Department for Veteran Affairs, who basically provide healthcare to all veterans across the US, they're not an insurance provider. They're almost like the NHS. Like the US government does have an NHS, it's just only for veterans, but it's got exactly the same challenges. It's quite an odd setup. So they said, like, obviously providing prosthetic care is something really important to them, and they were like, we want to digitize and modernize how we're doing this. And they saw our clinical trial data and they said, cool, we want you to be one of the contractors on this project. And we were 4 people at the time, and the other contractor on there is Hewlett Packard and their 3D printing unit. So like on all of these press releases, you've got like HP and then like us. Like, the discrepancy in company size is just ridiculous. But that for us, sets us on a path to, and I think something that's why any kind of anyone that's in health tech or med tech is the first thing I say. It's you need to look outside the UK if you're going to the start of your commercialization. There's just not a framework to buy things in the UK. Like, it is what it is. You can't change that. And so that kind of then sets up. So that's kind of why we do a lot of work in the US. So yeah, software's out. It's out there. There's hundreds of people walking around with devices that have been fit using the software, and we're now we're now on that kind of next expansion stage. So we're kind of going through another round of like, what do we want the company to be? What kind of aligns with our values? What's going to put it in the big place in terms of how do we expand to other applications, other verticals, other markets? And yeah, so there's a lot of discussions that you have, like a lot of signals that you get back, some good, some bad, and it's about trying to come to those and work out what the strategy is for it.
So we've had quite a theme in this discussion. It's about time to wrap up. But which has been around, like, don't actually take the best advice that you get, like synthesize different things. But you've also clearly had some good advice around you. So what has it been that's enabled you to do those things? Because I'm sure back in the day you're probably like, I don't know how to get to the US and sell to the US government and be there with HP. So what's enabled you to do that?
So I reference this quite a bit. One of the best things that I ever did in Surveyr Bristol was Steve's. Steve did a workshop. I'm not sure if it's still running, but really stuck with me because you do get like a lot of advice, and you obviously don't, like, a lot of it just kind of goes into the back of your head. But something that really stuck with me was this idea of like the planting of the seeds, and the idea of like, you don't need to build the business overnight. You don't need to have everything perfect, but just getting started early then gives you a framework. And so the reason that we got, because we kind of always knew the US would be a big market, and the reason that we ended up being able to get that contract was because we kind of took a speculative punt on going to a conference in the US. Like, if I spoke to anyone at that time, they would be like, you do not have the resources to go to the US. Like, they were like, this would be insane to try and do on a 4-person team at this stage. But we had this signal, and it kind of mentioned about this project, and we were like, well, let's just go and just see. And so we didn't have a US subsidiary set up. We just rocked up, and we then kind of muddled our way through. And so that is that kind of advice that stayed with me. It's like, you're never going to be perfectly ready for something. Like, if you do something in a startup and you're like perfectly ready, then you're like, why didn't you do it sooner? It's about, but you want to have started lots of little ideas that once one of those starts to actually, like, you're like, okay, well, that's where we're going. You're not starting from scratch. You've got that little bit of a base. So
yeah. Awesome. Well, it's time to move on. I realised I had no clock in front of me, which was something a bit terrifying. So yeah, thank you. Really interesting to tell your story. I know there's many more stories to tell. Also, if anyone's obviously interested in coming to talk to us about Surveyr, then do that.
Okay, so this is the really easy bit. Okay, do any of you have a mobile phone, a sort of device of some kind? Okay, I'd like you to get that phone out. I'd like to type in menti.com, menti.com. I'd like to put this code 72472622 into menti.com. Now, this is the event where you get to do this on your phone all the way through, and we love you for it. Because you get to vote, ask questions, and comment on everything you now see, and you get to start by practicing, where are you from? You do remember where you're from, right? You haven't kind of like totally zoned out or anything. So, okay, so has everybody got Menti? Has everybody put the code in? So the code's up here at the top, 72472622, and it's menti.com, menti.com. Okay, and while we buy a little bit of time for Dan to get set up. Okay, this is it. And every time you see some slides come up, or a voting thing, or some questions, you just tap away and put it in there.
Yeah, right.
So the magic clicker this way.
So there's a few quizzical faces still. Is it going okay? Yeah, doing all right? This row seems to have it nailed, okay? So if any of you can help us with the row. Yeah, you doing okay? Yeah? You doing okay?
I brought them out, so I'm like, I bet I need them. Who am I?
And you can scroll backwards and forwards as you wish. Okay, now what happens to all that stuff you put in is we export it at the end as a PDF and we give it to everybody that did a demo and they get to learn what you think. So if you don't get to raise your hand, you don't get to ask a question, make sure it's in there. Does anybody need a drink before the stand starts? If you need a drink, you get it now.
No, people are very enthusiastic around the course and I have the app. Yeah, especially that one.
All right, hands up if you can hear me. Hands up if you can hear me. Look at that. You've got such a good audience. I love you. Okay, so Dan's going to do his thing now. Do you remember what we do to welcome Dan to the stage? Yeah?
Big clap.
Give him some love. 5 minutes to demo and 5 minutes Q&A, okay?
Not Q&A. So, yeah. Hopefully I can click through it. It should be seamless. That's me. If you don't know me, I'm here. Dan. I'm from Chumley in Devon. So it's a bit of a trip.
Well done, Chumley.
Yeah, big up Chumley. So this is Beta 8, and I'm going to go through some slides. I have the app on my phone, which I will do my best to show. I haven't got a camera, but so you have to be beady eye, and then we'll do a Q&A. So hopefully it won't be too long, so I won't miss anything, but you never know. So what is Beta 8? Beta 8 is a dating app in which we really try and focus on real people making real connections with each other in real time. Our algorithm that I have made puts together a table of 8 people, and they are matched to each other and then to a central theme. All of this together in the environment, which I'll describe in a minute, allows for a very seamless and slick way to date and meet people and make connections. The format of the date is very simple. It's very easy. So our algorithm puts together a table of 8 people, and it appears on your homepage on the app, which I will show in a second. Then obviously, hopefully 8 people will agree to go on the date. They pay a small deposit of £10 just to say that they're not going to jump ship at the last minute. And then after that, there are 2 groups that are made, and these groups are made on WhatsApp. So effectively 4 people in one, 4 people in the other. This just lets you get to know a little bit about the other people before you actually go on the event itself. So it's a little bit less daunting before you just rock up at a pub. After this, the meal takes place. Everybody goes, and then you rotate around the table with every course, just so you chat to everybody. The joy of Beta 8 as an idea is that you are making connections more than just the people that you're actually sat opposite, because if I'm sat opposite Stuart, and Stuart thinks, no, Dan, you're not for me, but yet Stuart has a best friend who I might be perfect for, that's the joy of the social connection of Beta 8. After the event takes place, or the meal, you are encouraged to not exchange numbers, because that will happen through the app, so there's no pressure from that sense. And as well, you pay for your own meal, so there's no one meal. The connections bit I'll show you on the app in a minute. It's very simple. If 2 people say they want to connect with each other, then their details are exchanged. If one person says yes and one person says no, nothing happens, no details are exchanged, and you don't go on another event with that person. So it's very safe and secure from that point of view. This all, as an idea, is just trying to build a very slick and seamless way to date and meet new people. We have got a friendship application as well that is in my brain. It's being made. It's being made. What problem in the market do we solve? There are 2 big problems, or anyway that I think are really important, is that with social media and apps like Tinder, dating has turned into a game where social connection is really boiled down to the flick of a finger, and you're kind of just swiping through and hoping for the best, which has ruined the whole idea of dating and meeting people in real life and face to face and just chatting. And the second one is I'm going to ask 3 questions to all of you, and if you agree by the end of the third one, please just nod or whatever. How many of you have been on an awkward first date? How many of you have been on a date that felt like a waste of time? Like, oh, I should never have gone. How many of you have felt very uncomfortable on a date? Anyone agree with those sort of things? Yeah, a few people? Well, YouGov says that 50% of people have had a terrible date. Now, that is very extreme. A terrible is quite dramatic. But I think it's very true, because I think a lot of people on these dating apps are just swiping and not even necessarily making a connection as natural humans to the person that they are engaging with, which is what we are really doing our best to avoid. A terrible date is your nightmare as much as it is ours. In terms of when do we launch, there was meant to be a QR code behind me with my website on. The domain name hasn't transferred properly. So if anyone's interested, you know anyone's interested, catch me afterwards. But we are hoping to launch in January 2026. That is with all things going well. But as you can see by the QR code not being behind me, hiccups do happen. Hiccups do happen in business. So we know we have to launch by February, Valentine's Day, obvious spikes in demand. So we know we need to get launched by that point. But between now and then is a big push in marketing. And that is what is really important, and actually is the skills that I very much lack. But in terms of what do I need from today and what I'm really asking for is that it's advice. Advice from all of you and ideas that all of you have. Advice in legal, marketing, app design, and any ideas that you have and different perspectives are so important in getting this to where I envision it being. Because in business, you get so blinkered and blindfolded into what you think it should be that you actually need to listen to other people and absorb other people's ideas. So thank you all for listening. I will go through a quick demo of the app from a distance. Do your best to look if you can. It's quite basic, so I'll just run through it very quickly. We have on our homepage, there's a very simple, some of the previous events that we've hosted. So we have one at the Ivy. These are just ones that I've made up. We haven't actually launched yet. And then you have your events page. So this is where the events for you as an individual user would come through, and then you decide to sign up and then pay the deposit, and then your name is put on the list for that event, and then afterwards the process takes place. As well on here, you have obviously a profile and you have your connections. And the reason your connections is so important is because of that transfer over basically your phone number. Because there's nothing more awkward than being sat on a table with someone and they go, oh, can I get your number? And you go, yeah, give you my nans. But in terms of a demo, that is really done. So thank you all for listening. If you have any questions, fire away. Too long.
6 minutes. Okay, so you've got 4 minutes of questions.
Go on.
We'll go for the first question from the panelists, and then we'll come to you. Okay.
So, what demographic do you envisage most likely to be using this app?
In my head, in the short term, I envision the younger demographic, only because I think it can be rolled out quite successfully through universities. But there's definitely the whole range that it can be used for, and with the friendship side of it as well, which I think we're going to call Click to 6, just to go along with the debate, but we don't know. That is also a different demographic. So it's a constant thought process of what actually do you target it at. My gut feeling is that it should be a younger audience because you could roll it out through unis, but yeah, all ideas, yes sir.
Old people have money and time. Retired people have money and time.
That's true. That is very true.
And we promised this man a question.
How does the business make money?
The air subscription. So our real focus is that it should be cheap, because I've heard of and seen dating apps where for every time you set up a date with someone, it's £10 a fee. So the idea is that it'll be a £5 a month subscription fee, and for that you'll get a minimum of 1 date a month, with the idea of having more than that per month. Now, as far as I'm aware, that's quite cost effective, but I'm lucky enough to not have had to go on those dating apps. So we will see, but I'm not. As far as I'm aware, we're in the lower end of the market in terms of cost.
So like £40 per event that you put on if there's opening.
Yes.
It's pretty true.
And then, sorry, just to quickly touch on it, there's also the idea of, how long have I got? Not long enough. The idea of the pubs, because obviously this is mainly going to be hosted in pubs, which right now are really struggling. That if you're funneling so much traffic into certain pubs, there's definitely an idea of a margin or a percentage that you take for that traffic. So there is other income streams and advertising all goes on as a basic subscription fee to fund.
Okay, dealer's choice. How old is he? How old is he?
Yeah, bang on.
He is 80. Give him a round of applause. How many businesses has he had before? At the age of 18, how many businesses has he had before?
1, 3.
It's not your dad's.
Planted.
He has had one before. Okay, so this is the second idea.
This first one's tech hardware based, so this is other end of the spectrum in terms of software. So
And how many demo nights has he done this year? He's done 3. This is his 3rd one because he's continuously learning, which is very cool. All right. Yeah.
Permission to do a share and an explorer very quickly.
Yeah.
So you're launching an app. It's going to be geographically restricted, so you need a lot of people on board quickly.
Yes.
People are going to wait till it gets bigger before they come on, so you'll have that whole waiting thing.
Yeah.
So, and again, linking to your venues. So looking at something equivalent to First Table, collaborating with them gives you access to the venues. Yeah. Gives you cheaper first dates.
Yeah.
That's what we all want. We
Yeah,
don't want to waste
exactly.
money on an expensive first date. And then access to a lot of people quite quickly. So it's kind of just exploring some of the problems and then share a potential solution.
The thing from my end that is needed for a big proof of concept is that in my head, I think it should be launched in Devon first, just because geographically I know the best restaurants. I know that if I keep it contained in Devon and get that as proof of concept. The second thing is in between the beginning of marketing, which is start of December, and January, I know I need to build up a database of people to actually say that the app is viable, because my second business you can grow organically, whereas this has to be cold start from here to here. I haven't approached any chains yet in terms, because I quite personally
Sorry, First Table is an app for booking cheap thing.
Is that what it
Yeah. So you get 50% off your food.
Is that what you get?
So it's an app that's already got
Okay.
connections with venues.
It sounds like a great
Or
conversation, but I think you can do a bit more in detail. Okay, thank
What's your name?
Paul.
Nice.
you very much. Well done, you. Give him a round of
Thank you very
applause.
much. Cheers, guys.
Amy, we're going to buy you a couple of minutes, okay? That's all right here. With Dan's idea, who gets it? Who understands what he's just said? Yeah? I'm not going to ask you a question harder than that, don't worry. And if you had some money to invest, would you put 50 grand into Dan's idea? Who wouldn't put 50 grand into his idea? You wouldn't put 50 grand in? Why wouldn't you put it in?
I think it's tricky. It's a tough one to go and get critical mass.
Okay? But 50 grand's a punt, right? You wouldn't take a punt?
500 in. 500 in.
Put
on
500,000 in, Dan. That's a
I was thinking more.
Take that man's
I
name
mean-
and number.
Heads of terms.
Okay, who would put 50 grand in? Becky, you got 50 grand. Did you put this in?
I've got a few more questions.
Okay, so it's more due diligence.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I also really like friendship. Or the
Okay.
social.
So you think you'd explore that one more?
Yeah, but I don't really know this space very well, but I think that's quite interesting too.
Okay.
Maybe for my age rather than your age group.
All right, Amy, I'm buying you time. You've got to get up here now, okay? Okay, so you're getting the vague idea about how this Canopy stuff works, right? It's a little bit more dialogue and it starts the bigger conversations that happen later. Yeah.
Do you audience member ask for permission for something? I didn't understand that.
He just wanted to give a share in return and kind of some ideas and inspirations rather than just ask a quick question.
Thank you.
Okay, so Amy's here. Do we love Amy? Do you want to share some love with Amy? Oh, you're very fun. You're fun. Amy, you've got 5 minutes and then 5 minutes Q&A, okay?
Okay. Just really cool. Cheers up.
Just did it so many times.
I know. Result. Okay. Right. Hi, I'm Amy, founder of Surveyr. So building surveyors told us that they spend hours preparing before inspections, even longer writing up reports, and still juggle photos, handwritten notes, etc. The process is outdated and inefficient. Surveyr is a mobile-first platform that lets them complete their entire workflow on-site. No formatting delays, no post-processing, just fast, clear, and complete inspections. It removes 2 hours of pre-survey prep and up to 7 hours of post-survey report writing. While it adds a little bit more time on site, it can cut total survey duration from 2 days to 1. Our ideal users are chartered surveyors running small practices. They're facing overwhelming workloads, but hiring isn't always viable due to high costs and a shortage of skilled professionals. Surveyr helps them scale sustainably by increasing turnover without increasing headcount. But why now? The industry is shifting. Building surveyors are under pressure to deliver faster reports, but most tools are built for adjacent sectors. Meanwhile, RICS has just released a framework to help surveyors adopt AI responsibly. Surveyr arrives just at the right moment, bridging the gap between professional demands and technological readiness. Surveyr is led by myself, a CTO and visionary founder with deep technical expertise in emerging technologies, user-centered design, and product development. I've worked across academia and industry, and I know how to translate complex workflows into intuitive, scalable tools. I'm supported by SME advisors, university partners, and business mentors. Contractors are helping me accelerate delivery, and our first raise hiring roadmap includes a developer, a sales lead, and a CEO to scale the business. Our mission is to help professionals adopt new technologies with confidence, and I started Surveyr because I saw an area where these tools could make a real difference. So the ask is twofold. I'm looking for a co-founder with experience in prop tech or SaaS, and who has strengths in sales, marketing, and business strategy, who can help bring Surveyr to market. And we're also seeking partnerships with surveying companies with real-world data sets and tools to collaborate and test the product and to validate the MVP. So if you know anyone with any skill, with the skills or connections to help, I'd love an intro. Right. So I'm now going to try and do a live demo of the MVP, and I'm hoping this will work. It's currently being tested, and I'm going to try and show you a few of the main features. So basically, Surveyr supports the whole surveying workflow: pre-survey, survey, and post-survey through 5 integrated modules. I've set up a demo survey to show you today, and I'm just going to run through and hope that we can see this. I have discovered if I turn my phone that way, we can see a bit more, which will help us. So the first module is the building intelligence module. This is the information that surveyors can get before they come to site. This is absolutely invaluable for them because they spend hours searching for things like soil conditions, flood risk, that kind of thing. This information can be got straight away by Surveyr just typing in a postcode. So I can open one of the cards and show you, like, it would bring out the flood risk, that kind of thing. I have to turn the phone around the other way to start the survey. The second module is the smart capture module. This follows the standard inspection routes. So when they do a survey, they go outside the property first, then inside, then they look at the services, and then the grounds. There's also a manual and real-time mode, and the real-time mode is currently in development because that uses AI defect detection and computer vision to automatically detect defects. And then there's also a knowledge hub here to help them if they get stuck or they need some more support to fill in their reports. So it gives lots of more guidelines. And then if we look at one of the cards, there's many options. So the standard process that opens. The standard process would be to capture the media. So there's options to capture photos, videos, voice notes. If they capture voice notes, there's an AI that auto-transcribes their voice notes. There's moisture settings, measurements, etc. Then there's a notes area, so they can add in all their notes. And then the most important thing of all is adding the property condition, so they can add the rating. And then once they complete this, they do it 28 times for each area around the property, and then they finish the survey. And this is just an area that they can go back through and check everything. And there's a few more sections that are required by the RICS Level 2 survey. I've just left open section B because I hope that will work, because that's automatically There you go. That is automatically generating summaries of all of their notes. So again, a massive time saving using AI to do that. So once they filled all of this in, we can export the report, and there is your RICS Level 2 survey, all written up in the format that's required. That's everything.
You want to show them how?
Yep, cool.
5 minutes of attention.
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
Yeah.
ask Amy a question. Who's a panelist? You're a panelist.
Have you approached RICS or mortgage providers about this? Because most people, when they have a survey done, it's they're buying a house.
Yeah.
And they just assign their partner firms. Is that something you've looked at?
So both. So RICS runs a scheme for technology companies, and you can apply to be a RICS tech partner. So that's something I'm definitely looking at going forward. And then mortgage companies, yes, that's definitely been suggested to me in the past, as they might be someone to recommend this kind of approach. So it's something I'm looking into at the moment.
Yeah, just when you take a mortgage, you obviously pay for your survey.
Yeah, and it would, obviously a mortgage company would insist on
actually
having the survey done.
cost-effective,
Yeah.
using an app, making it quick and snappy.
Yeah, although at the moment I'm targeting surveying firms, but it's definitely another thing I could go after. Yeah.
It looks like they've got a question, Amy. Yes, there's one.
Right.
What's the competition in this one?
There's a fair bit, I will be honest. There's companies that do the automatic report generation, certainly on the last stage. As far as I can tell, there's nobody doing it at the pre-survey stage, which to me seems a bit of a no-brainer, because if you can get that information straight away, it really speeds the process up. And I don't think anyone's offering the complete workflow. So that's the mileage. And also there's, like I said, I'm doing a lot of research in AI, machine learning and computer vision to automatically detect defects, and there's definitely not so much traction in that. So avenues to explore. So over there.
Which one do you like? Hat or no hat?
Never mind. Yeah.
We'll have hat first.
Hat first. Okay. Yeah.
My question was going to be, is there any inherent benefit for the residential property owner who is using that surveyor? Can you sell it to the surveyor as having some inherent benefit for their customers?
I hope so, because obviously this is going to speed up the process, and at the moment there's a real backlog in surveying. So the benefit to the consumers, they're going to be able to get their surveys done faster, and hopefully this will speed up the residential selling market.
Right, the man from Plymouth.
You obviously mentioned the summaries that AI generate
Yeah.
off the back of the data that's input. Is
Yeah.
that just a direct feed into an LLM, or is there like a middle layer?
Just been working with OpenAI at the moment,
Yeah.
so it's just summarizing. Yeah, but there's fail safes in there, so it can obviously override all the notes and that kind of thing. So
2 more questions. Yes, at the back in the green.
Hi, you mentioned you were doing capacity. What
So right at the moment, I'm working with Atlantic Building Surveyors. They are doing some, they're actually having a look at it next week. So they're going to talk me through, hopefully go through some of the features that they think will work. And then the plan is to iteratively develop that. I've talked to a few other companies as well, but that's the ones that are advising at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there a way of doing B2C so that you have so homeowners could at least do part of it so they can remedial and sort it before it gets...
I would have thought so. It's not something I'm exploring at the moment, but I think that's a future market. Yeah.
Now, Amy's been very efficient, so I'll give one more question. Anybody? Yes.
Can you use the basic features without Wi-Fi?
Without Wi-Fi?
Without Wi-Fi.
Well, at the moment, so this is a lovable prototype that's obviously emulating on my website, so it's obviously going through the Wi-Fi, but
you
obviously
can't have it without
it'll be a mobile app. Absolutely, yeah, that's the plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, who gets what she said?
Well,
Who will put 50 grand into Amy's idea? That's major. Okay, then show us some love. Gonna buy you a couple of minutes while you get down there. Okay, how are you feeling about this so far? Who's been to a baseball game? Anybody been to a baseball game? You know what a 7th inning stretch is? Okay, so please stand up. Let's do a little bit of stretch, okay? We're not going to sing a song. There's no Sweet Caroline going to happen, okay? But you just want to shake out your legs. Chance. And if you want, you can say hello to a person who's around you, but you don't actually know who they are. Now give Fifi enough time.
Oh, kids. Yeah.
I know I knew that. So I have to actually get something. Because kids, like when they came from some footballer.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know who that is. Like in the 90s, I was like, I was born in the 90s. He was like, well, just pretend you know.
Yeah. I'm not even playing football as a kid. Another kid.
I mean, it's quite cool to check out.
Every time I you take yeah. Are you doing impressive? Yeah.
All right, hands up if you can hear me. Hands up if you can hear me. Fantastic. You can sit down. Thank you so much. Okay, now this is the last time you get to do this. When Fifi's done, just got a little bit of voting to go, and then it's the beers and the pizzas. Okay, so how much love do you have for Fifi right now?
Hi everyone, good evening. Thank you for having me too. I really appreciate it. I'm Fifi, founder of Butterfly Wellness. I'm also a pageant girl. Put me on the spot there with that photo. So I'm founder of Butterfly Wellness. Really, our mission is to improve the lives of every single person that has a chronic skin condition. Just a quick question: does anyone know anyone that's got eczema in the house? Psoriasis? Really, really chronic acne? Yeah, or probably you've grown up having any of these conditions. And according to the World Health Organization, there's about 1 million plus people, not just in the UK, well, billions of people around the world really, that have chronic skin conditions, and this really affects them. And according to stats, it shows that for everyone that is diagnosed with skin condition, they're 3 times more likely to develop conditions like anxiety, depression, and even extremely suicidal ideation. So with Butterfly Wellness, we have created a tool called Shama. So Shama, I think, is the only tool in the world that is currently able to provide support, self-management for people that do have chronic skin conditions. Mental health is a huge aspect of chronic skin conditions. And I believe everyone here, if you look good, you feel good, don't you? But if you're waking up every single day with rashes, itching, flare-ups, soreness, redness, it really impacts on the personal well-being. I know this because for a girl that grew up doing pageants and being very open and strutting the stage, doing a bit of modeling, and one day I woke up and I had absolutely horrendous bumps. So I couldn't do any modeling, I couldn't show my skin as much as I would love to. And this is why I came up with this idea. One thing I know that really helped me was, nutrition, exercise, cutting up some foods. I had an allergy that was affecting me. But I think there's lots of people that have this issue. So with Shama, our core audience really is healthcare providers. So that's who we're selling to. So that's businesses that have people that have any skin conditions, dermatology clinics, aesthetic clinics, as well as a benefit for their consumers. So think about, going to a private dermatology clinic and they're recommending this as an add-on to whatever prescription, drug or cream or treatment they're going to give you. It's very easy, it's very accessible on the internet. I think in this age of beauty, we really need to go beyond just the creams and the potion. I think lifestyle has a huge impact in our skin and really how we look and feel in ourselves. So just got a little demo here. This is the very basic version that we've got. I'm very excited to be collaborating next year, with Google to really improve our infrastructure, moving from this virtual chatbot now towards agentic AI that will have a lot more capabilities. So I just click this.
Matt, your trusty assistant, Matt, will sort it out. if you go on to Minty, you can watch this back yourself as well. So that you can...
Or the website, the butterflywellness.com.
What's going on? Because we can't see
Yeah.
it back.
Explain what we're talking about.
Yeah, so this is a conversation that anyone that uses the platform would typically have. And it's just, at this point, it's all chat-based, but the next version would be able to include photos. If people need to add their photos on there for whatever condition, well, typically on the face of the planet, because that's the next step. And also with psychodermatology, it's a niche that combines mental health and skin health. So the intention really is to combine not just photos, but also emotive tracking. So research has shown that when people have high levels of stress, anxiety, worry, sometimes even sadness or fear, this can really show an impact on the skin health. So this is something that we'll be researching more often to be able, hopefully, to be able to predict any sort of flare-up in skin conditions. And in the future, because the skin is a very sentient organ, most of the times when something's going on wrong with our bodies, the skin is the first place that shows it, whether it's a kidney, whether it's the liver, whether it's whatever it is. So in the near future, we want to be able to combine this with little metrics of personal healthcare data, combined with photos to be able to predict certain changes that could occur. I don't want to go into more details, but pregnant women have certain effects on their skin. Menopausal women have certain effects on the skin. So the audience is quite varied, but the potential is absolutely massive. I think that's it really. So I'm the founder. I've got a team of fractionals. Very, very small team actually. We've been working on this for about 2 years. We're currently fundraising, but apart from fundraising, I would appreciate any advice from the audience. I've got fractional medical officer working with the NHS, although I'm not even touching the NHS at all. I'm not having anything to do with the NHS. Our route to market is completely private at the moment. Well, hopefully in the future, but definitely not right now. And this is what fundraising from next year. I'm really looking forward to get any of your opinions. Thank you.
Right, 2 minutes for questions, okay? So
Okay.
First question from Rachel.
So you mentioned you want to sell it to clinics to benefit their customers. So what's your financial model? Is it a subscription model or?
Yeah, so primarily subscription based, just because it's most people understand it. But we're also looking at, in the long run, also being able to partner with brands, because this is a cloud-based platforms. For example, skincare brands, like specialist skincare brands, because it's very niche. So a specialist skincare brand, let's say like CeraVe, Eucerin, Aveeno, if they want to sell on a platform, it's also a case where if there's any transactions being made on Spotify's on this platform, then they're going to be able to get commission from that. And also from research institutions, the amount of data that could be gathered from this, I think, using it properly with anonymous data could potentially be, I think, being honest, used for further research and also sold. So yeah, thank you.
On your post at the beginning, you had a load of kind of congenital skin conditions.
Yeah.
How would this help those? Because if you're born with vitiligo, you obviously can't remove vitiligo.
Yeah.
So I can understand stress responses and stuff.
Yeah.
You spots. How would it give you you obviously can't get rid of congenital disorders.
Yeah. So that's a very good question. That's something that people raised. So there's long-term conditions, which is like things that people have for the rest of their life, can be managed and potentially could be cured. But for specific conditions like vitiligo, emotional well-being is a huge aspect. So our focus in that sense would be emotional well-being and really just building confidence for that person that's got that problem. But if people want to seek treatment, that's something that we could be able to partner. So there are aesthetic clinics that help people that do have vitiligo to literally clear up their skin so it's completely even. But that is something that we'll just be able to suggest on the platform, and then it's just really up to them to purchase that service to be able to completely treat their vitiligo, because that's quite different.
Well, it's a great question. Is there any sort of reason why you asked that? Is like a field of fields or something?
No, just interested in medical stuff, I suppose. It's just interesting.
Thank you.
It's quite interesting vitiligo because that's what Michael Jackson had, and then everyone thought he was bleaching his skin, but he actually had a medical condition, which is why he had to do the whole treatment.
Listen, yeah.
You mentioned that there might be the opportunity for people to upload photos.
Mm-hmm.
How would you protect the privacy of that, given that it's kind of a psychological well-being area as well?
Yeah.
The photos then won't be used by AI in other platforms in other areas.
Yeah, well, no, definitely. Privacy and confidentiality is a huge part. I think with most people building agentic AI, there's that sort of regulation. We are looking to get a HIPAA certification specifically, not just going beyond GDPR, but that's going to give us guidelines as to how we intend to protect confidential data, obviously pictures and even potentially even videos, and that's not going to be used to train models. The data we've got already is anonymous data, which is from the Health Data Research UK. So that's what we're going to be using to train the model. So we wouldn't necessarily need to use customer photos and images. That's something that's going to be stored and protected. And getting the certification for that is also part of the budget and plans for it, because it's a huge aspect for it.
One more question. Yes, ma'am.
So I think you mentioned at one point a personalization aspect of this, and it being part of kind of a prescription plan from someone's doctor. Would their medical provider be able to give information to the platform? So I could imagine a scenario like with the platform, you want to ensure that it's not recommending something that would be contraindicated because of that person's medical history, and then again, I guess that would be back to the privacy. Like, is medical information going into that other than that they have this condition, and how would that be handled?
Yeah, so I'm really treading very lightly in this sort of path, because at the moment we class ourselves as a wellness product. So in terms of medical devices, this would be easily class 1. So that is sort of something we'll consider in the future when it's going to be something that is going to be prescribed. So that's more so class 2. That's going to be sort of diagnosis, prevention, and then thinking about, okay, how can we link into sort of electronic health records, medical systems. But at this stage, there wouldn't be a sort of direct link with sort of clinics, information. It's more so just what providers would be able to recommend to their patients to use in addition to any sort of services they're being provided. But that's something we're looking forward to in the future, because that's where that's a lot more clinical, and potentially in the UK there's no reimbursement for that sort of pathway, which is why we're not sort of going towards the NHS. It's more so in other European markets, I would say. But for now, it's just at home, not really linking to the clinicians.
Another great question. Can I ask why you asked it?
Well, I was just thinking, there's a lot of emphasis on lifestyle, and if it's saying, making dietary changes, for instance, and how you'd want some protection in there to make sure that someone wasn't getting conflicting information from the platform and their healthcare provider.
Yeah, but definitely something to note. I think that's a new one, but yeah, definitely keep that in mind. Thank you.
Let's give a round of applause. Yeah, now this has never happened. We finished early. It's never on time. Okay, but you've got a very important job to do now. Okay, so you see up there it says which has been your favourite demo, not which has clinically been the best demo, but which has been your favourite one. And the one that you vote through We'll take a reading on that towards the end of the pizzas, and that person will become the People's Choice Demo of the evening. And for that person, we do a special interview and some extra perks and help. And for the next year, they become part of a cohort of the People's Choice Awards winners of the year. And we prioritise how we support those people across the year. Okay? Rita, as an example, when she won the London Tech Week edition, she got to come to Lisbon, do the stuff in Web Summit. We also helped her raise some money and do some other things. Okay? We'd also love you to put some of your comments, particularly keen to understand if you think that this style of event and what we've done here tonight has a place in Bristol, or if you think it's just covered elsewhere and this is redundant. Because I'm not new here and Becky's not new here, but bringing this kind of Canopy recipe is new here, okay? We did start with Somerville, Massachusetts in 2014. We've done quite a few of these things in lots of different places. Yes?
Just a quick Menti question. How do we get past the submitted question? How to look at everybody's phones over their shoulders?
Got to keep going.
It looks like
Click submit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and the good news is you've got, you've got beer and you've got pizza to kind of worry about that stuff as well if it doesn't quite work out. But any comments would be great. And this is the Net Promoter thing. Based on your experience tonight, how likely would you be to recommend this to a friend or a colleague? And what we'd love to think is you go back to work tomorrow and you tell half a dozen people about this and they come here and we do another one in January, if that's the way we're going to go. You might need a slightly bigger room. But... Okay. If you want to apply to Set Squared, the link is in there and you can get to that through Menti. If you want to know anything more about Canopy, the link is there. And if you want to know about the new Student Accelerator program that we just launched with UniDays, there's a link to that press release there as well. Becky, shall we take some questions before we release them to pizza? Yeah. And I should tell you that the pizza is going to be another 10 minutes. You just got to keep drinking beer into that. Is that going to be okay down here? Is it going to be all right? No? Okay. So we'll take any questions you've got before we round out and just go and have the beers. What would you like to know? Anything at all from Neil, Becky, or from Caroline, or for any of the people that gave a demo today?
Where's the next demo night?
It's in London on the 10th of December at Baines Business School in Bunhill.
Do you want to know when the next Bristol demo?
Hell yeah.
And the next Bristol one, I think we slated in for January. If this is what you want, we're happy to do it.
We can't be more specific rather than January.
Yeah.
And if you signed up today on Luma, you go to Luma/Canopy, all of our events are kind of listed in there and you can sign up and subscribe to that. We're doing one in Bath Spa later in the year as well in April, and we're doing one in Derby University in February. Yes.
It's kind of a two-part question, really. How do you source the companies who are pitching today, and what do you want to get for them? What's the purpose for you that you want to get from the evening?
Well, funnily enough, I kind of wanted to ask that question of the audience a little bit more as well. Thinking about sourcing the question, I mean, you should answer the question about how you source the companies because they come through you.
So this is a platform that has no barriers. So it doesn't matter where you come from or what kind of idea you have an opportunity here if you want it. So the first way we source is people ask us to be here. That stepping into the moment is what we're looking for. Then we provide some help and some guidance. Some of our mentors from Boston and from other places actually help coach people to get to this point and being here. And then we help them learn from this experience and iterate through. We're a global community. We have about 640 founders in programs all over the world at the moment, all done remotely and virtually with regular interventions and mentoring. So sourcing is from any of those or from the local area or just really just people saying, I want to give it a try.
It's something I was thinking about as I was watching as a new person to these demo night events was definitely that idea of people who are willing to accept the feedback and stand up and put the idea as it is right now. This isn't like shiny investor pitch type setting, and that's kind of the whole point, right? So I think that self-selection is really important.
Caroline's point, isn't it, about being coachable?
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that also is then like reflected. Well, it's a two-way thing, right? It's kind of how do we co-create this as a community as well in terms of well, what type of demoers, demonstrators are also going to be something that the audience feels like they could, people they feel like they could help and have very tangible things that they'd be able to give back as well. So I think maybe that's part of the conversation we
have over pizza as well.
We've had people stand on the stage and say, I'm thinking about working on an idea. I'm not really sure about it. What do you reckon? And we've had Pipe Drive on the stage saying, we've just landed in Lisbon. We're looking to hire. We don't know what being Portuguese is. Can you teach us about that? We've had a whole range of stuff over the years since sort of March 2014. And what do we hope to get out of it? So all of us, you know, you've met people like Matt today, Becky, Nick, wherever he's gone, I'm missing him. Yeah, we're all founders who built and sold and run things ourselves, and we're supporting others as we've been supported. We have a charter, which is to leverage entrepreneurship as a tool for social mobility. And we don't say that usually in every first meeting, but that's something that we're doing consciously at the back of this. So there are 3 main barriers to being, still not got the right language, we'll call it an atypical founder. So the white male going through some sort of PhD or master's is the typical founder. So if you're not that group, the 3 main barriers are people like me don't do this stuff. I don't see people like me up on stage and thriving. I don't have a community of people that I can ask about stuff, and I don't trust them, and I don't know what to pay them, and I don't know if they're telling me the truth. And I haven't got access to funding, particularly at friends and family level, where I can put the first bit of money together. Even if I did, the idea of spending 250k in 18 months is abhorrent to me. And so part of our mission is to remove those 3 barriers in every ecosystem that we see. So part of that is we're just launching our first fund, which enables people who don't have a friends and family capability to gather that from us. And the ones that the People's Choice winners get the line of sight to that funding. Does that answer your question? Is there anything else you'd like? Okay.
When will the fund be deploying?
Our goal is to deploy the first funds from April next year. It's what they say on the Red Dwarf, even with an IQ of 3,000, it's brown trousers time at this point. So having never done one of these before, we're pulling it all together and let's see how it goes. Okay, but Rachel's a partner in the fund, Matt's a partner in the fund. We're doing this together. Okay, any other questions?
What type of pizza is coming?
Really good question. That's a great one for Sophie.
We're all thinking it.
Yeah.
Pizza's coming at 6.
No, what type?
Wow. Be revealed.
So,
let's worry about whether it's going to be here or not what type.
My question was there gluten-free pizza?
There is a gluten-free in there. All right. So enjoy the drinks. Enjoy the drinks, enjoy the pizza, enjoy each other's company. A big part of what we do is bringing people together so you can be a stronger community. And I hope you enjoy meeting each other if you don't know each other before today. Thank you so much to Becky. Thank you so much to everybody that participated. Thank you to all of you. Yes, you can do that.